Okay, so I know that everyone is tired of those AI Reddit stories. So as I was as well, and I decided to make my own. So here we are. I'm an actual human, and I'm gonna narrate some Reddit stories that will hopefully help you spend your time. So let's continue. Okay, so this story. Boyfriend faked to death and then called my reaction manipulative. Trigger warning: self-harm, self-harm relapse, drunk driving, manipulation, emotional abuse, and mood spoiler, good ending for OP. Me and boyfriend, I'm 21 female, he's 24 male, together for 3 years, live apart but have had plans to rent together soon. Everything perfect before this. Backstory: I have a history of self-harm, have done since I was 11 years old. The last time, it's been a while since I even had the urge. My boyfriend had an ex before me who played mind games a lot. I feel it's relevant as he sometimes thinks I'm playing games when I am not. For example, when we started dating that I would self-harm for attention or do it to punish him. His ex would threaten things like that if he ever left her. Haven't ever done this, and despite my struggles, I am pretty good at being patient and communicative. Until this, I considered as to have a really healthy relationship. Main story: boyfriend went out drinking with his friends. I usually hear from him as he gets home late home, 2 a.m.ish, to let me know he's home and safe. But I didn't hear anything last night. I figured he just forgot. No biggie. I went to bed as normal. I woke up at 11 a.m. to a bunch of missed calls from his mother. They live together. I called her back and she texted at 1 p.m. that she couldn't talk. I was kind of worried and told her as much. She said my BF didn't get home last night and was in a crash and didn't make it. This was super weird to me since I get on well with his mom and would never expect to be told this via text. After some more texting, I fully believed my boyfriend had passed away that morning, and I totally shut down. The people I live with were all out that day, so I was alone. Grief set in immediately, and I had an extremely bad relapse on my self harm. At that point, I didn't even care. I was just hurting so much, and my usual coping techniques just weren't working, just weren't doing their job. I listened to old voice notes of his and even sent one telling him how much I loved him through the most unhinged sobbing I've ever done. Well, he arrived at my house 20 minutes later, saying it was a prank since he got into a small bump and thought I'd get mad about him driving drunk as well as about him mushing up his car a little. And him and his friends came up with this plans. And him and his friends came up with this plan to just make me happy he was alright. So they took his mom's phone and the above happened. I obviously was thankful he wasn't dead, but I had a million other, much stronger emotions. I was so angry he drove drunk. So angry he saw nothing wrong with it. So angry that he would never lie about something. So angry that he would lie about something so serious. And absolutely heartbroken that he let me sit in grief for over an hour until I sent a voice note that made him feel bad, quote unquote. Plus lots of other things I'm still struggling to articulate. He found out I harmed and flew off the hill. He said I punished him and turned a harmless prank into something much more serious and ruined the joke of it. He said I was guilting him for having fun and now he can't trust I won't do it again. He even suggested I stay in hospital for my mental issues for a few weeks and crank up therapy. He said he can't leave me if he wants now, or else I'll act like this, just like his ex. I am beyond hurt. I probably should look into therapy if I'm still resorting to it. I admit, but this was not an everyday bout of anxiety or even a breakup. I thought he had died. Also very aware that his actions were massively shitty and he's being so manipulative in the aftermath. How is it a punishment if I thought he was dead? I absolutely wouldn't react like this if he just broke up with me, and I've never said or hinted at that. Not really sure what to do now. My gut tells me to leave him over this, but I'm so unsure. Update. Long story short, I broke up with him for the following reasons: drunk driving, endangering himself and others, took his mother's phone and made me think it was her, deception, telling me he was dead, deception slash extreme emotional stress, letting me think that for hours. I could list every negative trait for that one: borderline sociopathic behavior, not being sorry for any of these things throughout, telling me I'm too sensitive, invalidation, shifting blame, being mad at me for relapsing, unsupportive, uncaring, unkind. I still won't blame him for the relapse, though, as many people here wanted me to. That is on me, and I'm still going to therapy regularly for that. So, for those interested, I took a few days to myself. I did speak over the phone to his mom, and she was incredibly apologetic on his behalf. I taught her how to put a passcode on her phone. After that, we met up and I outlined the things I listed above. He seemed apologetic and sincere about all of them and listened to me well. Unfortunately, he didn't quite understand that being apologetic wouldn't get me to change my mind on ending the relationship, so his true colors came out at the end. He got annoyed at me for ending it and again told me I was dramatic and other invalidating arguments. Oh well, I said what I needed to say, and that's enough closure for me. My sister told me she was dating my fiance. Yep, this is exactly what it sounds like. I, at 22, am engaged to my fiance, John. I'm 25, for the past 6 months, and we've been dating since my freshman year of university. I was 17 and he was 20. These past 5 years of dating have been amazing, and John's always been the perfect gentleman and the best boyfriend. He's kind, takes me on dates, and has been showing me with gifts, especially after becoming engaged. My parents met him 2 years after we started dating, but my sister, Sarah, half 24, has never met him as she lives in the UK. Last month, John had to go to the UK for work, as he had a deal to work out. And in my head, I thought about telling him to stay with Sarah. But since we aren't on the best terms, I didn't tell John anything about Sarah living in the UK. John's trip was originally scheduled for 3 weeks, but he extended his trip by 2 weeks to get some more work done. And I accepted it. After all, he's been nothing short of perfect, and this was the least I could do. John returned 2 months ago, and since then, he had been acting different. He wanted to take me on more dates, get me more things, but with my college schedule, it was all incredibly hectic. But he was taking no for an answer. A week ago, we had a family gathering for my parents' 40th year anniversary, and my sister was in attendance, which was a big deal because she didn't come to the US very often. When she came, I was already there, but Sean was at work, so he was coming a bit later. When Sarah met me, she was uncharacteristically happy to see me, but I entertained it. She kept telling me about this wonderful guy she met, and how happy she was, and how handsome he was, and basically just singing his praises. Sarah's always been prettier and more popular than me, though she was a bit psycho at times, and I wasn't surprised to see that she'd been dating a guy like that. When I asked her about the status of their relationship, she almost immediately became peeved and rolled her eyes, and started talking about all the things that he was gifting to her. I asked her where he was currently, and she said that he lived in the US and had come to the UK for work. I asked her for how long, and she said a bit more than a month. Okay, there. All of those things could chalk up to be coincidence, though I just silently noted. So I just silently nodded and let her close. But inside, I was a bit apprehensive. It all went to shit when John arrived. When I opened the door for him, Sarah went berserk, screeching his name, going up to him, hugging him, and kissing him all over his face, like some kind of crazy girlfriend. John didn't reciprocate at all, but he definitely knew who she was, glared at her, and pulled her off him before walking towards me. I just left the party, and I'm still so mad that I can barely contain myself. I changed the lock to my apartment, locked him everywhere, and I'm staying with a free friends currently. I can't bring myself to believe it. I always thought John and I were perfect for each other, and after some thinking, my sister had been working in the same office that he had been working in the UK. Was it some kind of office fling? I don't even want to think about him anymore, and I am just devastated. You did. After some conversation in the comments, we have discerned that since my sister follows my fiance on Instagram, and I have posted about my fiance there, she knew that we were engaged. And I don't know if Sarah and John worked in the same company. I only know that they work in the same office building. It's not a stretch, but I don't have those facts yet. Also, sorry if I wasn't clear before, but John probably does know what Sarah looks like from childhood photos and what I show him on social media, and she has been a connection of his on LinkedIn. I'm going to be contacting Sarah and asking her how she knows Sean. Added to all the people saying this is fake or I'm a bot troll, I promise that I'm not. I really wish this was fake or creative writing. I don't even get that one, because then I wouldn't be as heartbroken as I am right now. I have scheduled to talk to John tomorrow. And I'll update once everything's over. Update. It's really nice to see all the support I've gotten from everyone who commented on my post, and the consensus was that I, 22F, should talk to John, 25M. I did, and 3 months ago, we had a heart to heart conversation about what happened in London. John told me that Sarah somehow found out about his place of work, tried stalking him, and telling all his London coworkers that they were in a relationship, getting her invited in pubs with them, etc. John said that her behavior was very disturbing. That was why he was so pissed when he saw her there. He just didn't expect it. Honestly, I feel horrible. My fiance was going through something that I couldn't even imagine, and I iced him out for a week because of my own insecurities regarding my sister. I truly do love him so much, but this feels like a hurdle that we cannot get over. Even though it's been 3 months, the guilt still eats me anyway. And it's tough to think that I was the bad person in the situation, but it's true. John and I took it a bit slower and we went on a break for a month and got back together a month and a half ago. I don't know where we stand anymore. It's like our relationship has gone back to the early days of us being 17 and 20-year olds, and it's not a place I want to be in with him. I've completely cut Sarah and my parents out of my life. John encouraged me to do so, as they were all incredibly toxic. And I'd like to think that we are all slowly building our relationship back up again. It's tough, and I'm not gonna lie. All in all, I'm heartbroken, and I feel like I lost all the trust that he had in me. I didn't think that what I did was truly irrational, but looking back, and from a conversation with John, I realized that I was the one in the wrong, and it's been hard to admit to myself. John went on a few half dates with a coworker of his before we got back together. and I can't even bring myself to feel pained about it. He's expressed before that it's lucky that we are getting a chance together again, and I don't want to mess that up. We've been dating for 5 years, and I don't know to throw it all away by being a jealous person. So I hope that this post brings the closure that the post needed, that the other post needed. So I just saw an update of them, and looks like they are not together anymore. It reads, I have made a few other posts about this in other selves, but right now I'm just preparing to break up with my fiance. I love him so much, but I've gotten some information that he might be cheating on me with my sister. Long story, posted about it before. But I really don't want to. I've been with this man since I was 17. I've known him since I was even younger than that. We met when I was 15, so he's been in my life for almost 7 years. How do I break up our engagement and how do I emotionally recover from this incident? I don't really want to comment on this one, so let's just end this here. I, 29, female, am traveling overseas to meet my online boyfriend, 38 male, in a week. He just said he had to cancel. I made a new account for this post. I will not try. I met someone online through r/pen pals about 5 months ago. It started off getting to know each other, and it turns out we had a lot in common and were really compatible. I think it's safe to say we fell for each other. It quickly turned intense, and we shared every single intimate detail about each other. We both were in serious relationships that fell through, but some time had gone by for us. My 7 year relationship ended about 10 months ago, 5 months before we met, and his 4 year relationship ended 4 months before we met. We text all day, every day, and FaceTime for 2 to 3 hours every night, save for maybe 1 or 2 nights a week. He lives in Ireland, I live in the US. I found an incredibly priced flight to visit him. We were both so excited and maybe a bit rash. I booked the flight only after 2 months of knowing him. He told his family about me, shared photos of his family, and we planned all that I'm going to do and see with him. At 5:30 this morning, I received a video message and a long text that his ex-GF was in a serious car accident and that he would have to cancel. I begged him not to, and I'm trying to be supportive of what he is going through. So far, at most, I've only gotten that he will try, that he needs to sort this out, that he needs to sort this out. I'm freaking out in that 7 days I will be in a country where I don't know anyone. Do I cancel the flight? I've been telling my friends about going on a trip, not really saying that I'm meeting somebody. I have no idea what to do now. I feel sick. I feel like a fool. I feel like everything he said to me was a lie. What do I do? The comment said, in 7 days, you are going for a country where you don't know anyone and a fantastic time. Were you planning on staying with him? Is there a cheap hostel you could look into instead? If he has to cancel on you, don't let that hold you back from having an awesome time with the money you spent and the time you planned. Have a look at some stuff you can do by yourself. Ireland is a great place to visit. Who knows, he might get his act together while you are there. Right now, you're just dealing with shock. Calm down, look for positives, take things as they come. Update. So many through comments and PMs requested an update from my previous post, so I thought I'd do one. After my post, I FaceTimed him to say what I wanted to say and end things. He tried to get me to postpone my trip. I'd even tried to give me money to make me less mad at him. I told him whatever we had was over as I could no longer trust him. He cried, which made me feel weird. I wished him and his ex the best and ended the call. I went on my trip and had a top class time. The Reddit community really astounds me sometimes. I receive a lot of PMs of suggestions of things to do and see the trip to Ireland became a trip of a lifetime. In Dublin, I did meet up with a very kind narrator who showed me around the city and came with a bunch came with me to a bunch of museums during my stay. I saw amazing sights. I met a bunch of really cool people for my travels and met a few really cute Irish boys. I learned about a lot about myself on my first solo trip abroad. I am pretty self-reliant and I did a lot of self-reflection. This relationship was my first serious one after my ex and I split up. I think in my desire for closeness was someone I ignored a lot of red flags and downplayed my self-worth. I am now focusing on making real connections with people I meet in real life and have decided to stay away from anything long distance indefinitely. My first night in Belfast, I did message him after I had of what was probably too many beers. Damn you delicious Irish beers. And he said he was sorry about and he said he was sorry about it, but it was what it had to be. It didn't really seem sincere, and it extinguished any romantic notions I had. Thank you to everyone who commented and PM'd me. It really made me excited for my trip, and it was my best time. So my best friend went missing 3 years ago. I know exactly where he is. I've known Kev since we were kids. He's always been sweet, if not a little paranoid for his own good, and a chronic liar. We had a lot of ups and downs in our relationship. There was even a stretch of years where we didn't speak at all after he accused me of stealing his medication. He told me I had taken the bottle right out of the bathroom while he was in the other room. I hadn't, and I told him that a million times. He didn't believe me. I stopped answering his calls, blocked him on everything, and that was that for a long time. I decided to give him a second chance a few years back. He reached out first, through a mutual friend. He said he was doing better, that his paranoia and anger were more under control. I missed him more than I wanted to admit. Being the person he calmed down for had always been part of how I understood myself. So I agreed, as long as he was done with that crap. We decided to go camping after we met back up in late July, just the two of us in his old RV. The plan was a couple of nights away from the stress of the work, some cheap food, a few beers, the kind of quiet time that used to feel easy between us. Just after dusk, a meteor fell from the sky. We both saw the streak. It landed close enough that the ground shook. We grabbed flashlights and walked out to investigate, more excited than anything else. When we got there, it was sizzling in a shell crater, black and full of pits, about the size of a baseball. About the size of a baseball. Kev broke off a chunk with a stick and dropped it in his jacket pocket. He grinned at me and asked if I wanted to head back to the RV so we could take some pictures. I said sure. Later that evening, when we were sitting by the fire, he told me he was grateful that I'd forgiven him. He said he'd been having a hard time keeping relationships going since everything fell apart with me. I told him it was understandable. I've been I'd been through a few breakups myself, him included. There's something in the water these days that's been making everyone act crazy. He was sweating more than the fire could account for. He said he was just glad I was listening. I gave him a hug before we went in. Got a little wet, but a tiny bit of personal discomfort was worth it to help Kev feel better. He didn't sleep at all. I woke up a few times and saw him through the window, pacing around the picnic table in the dark. I asked through the screen if he was okay. He said he was too hot. I could see it from inside. He didn't sleep at all. I woke up a few times and saw him through the window, pacing around the picnic table in the dark. I asked through the screen if he was okay. He said it was too hot. I could see it from inside. His shirt was plastered to him, his back drenched. I asked if he wanted to drive to town and find a clinic. He said no, and then it should pass any time now. In the morning, he seemed cleaner. He sat close on the bench so I could smell the pine deodorant under his feet. He kept taking my hand with both of his while we talked, holding on longer than the conversation needed. His palms were clammy, and his sweat felt thicker, like it didn't want to let go when he pulled his band back. He's had mood swings in the past, so I was totally unfamiliar with the sudden change, but then he brought up the stolen medication out of the blue. He said he'd forgiven me a long time ago, and the only reason he lashed out was because he really felt abandoned. I told him I didn't steal his fucking meds. His eyes watered. They looked heavy, like soft clay that was slowly sinking under an invisible weight. He apologized for bringing it up, saying that it didn't matter anymore. He said he couldn't stand to lose me again. He said he'd do whatever it took to change, that I was the only person who had ever stuck around. I wanted to believe him, I did. Part of me still needed to be that person. Part of me still needed that importance, but the old role was exhausting. I told him he needed to get real help, professional help, not just make empty promises. He said he'd been trying for years and nothing stuck. I told him he needed to put in the work first, and he said nobody seemed willing to change for him. I didn't engage him with him much after that. I knew it would only encourage his spiral of self-loathing. By mid-morning, his clothes were soaked through. Half his face had started to droop. It looked like he was having a stroke. I told him it didn't look good and that I was going to call an ambulance. No. He moved faster than anything I'd seen from him before. He tackled me flat onto the dirt. They will take you away from me. Thick globs of sweat dropped onto my face, darker and discolored now. His skin was softening when I tried to push him off. My hands sank into him. You are the only one who knows me. You're the only person who loves me. He was melting, his sweat had turned stringy, the skin coming with it. It clung to my cheeks and the sides of my neck and started sinking into my pores. I could feel it finding its way in. I shoved at his shoulders, but there was less and less solid to push against. His arms gave out with a sloppy sound. His body collapsed on top of me, wrung like a fleshy weighted blanket. Please, don't leave me. I should have kept fighting. I didn't. For a few seconds, I just lay there under what was left of him, the same way I always stayed when things got bad. His heat soaked onto my body. I felt the rest of him come apart. First his limbs, then his torso, then whatever was still holding the shape of his head. It burned. I felt a pressure like nothing I'd ever felt before at the base of my skull. When it was over, only his empty clothes were left sitting sopping wet on top of me. I could still smell his deodorant. I sat up, looked at my hands. They looked like my hands. I felt the same, mostly except for the new weight in my head. It's been 3 years since then. I told the police he had wandered off during the night, and I never saw him again. They searched and found nothing. Obviously, his family eventually stopped calling. People moved on the way people always do. I couldn't. On one particular bad day, the heat came back first, then the itch across my scalp, then the manic need to do something. Anything, I took a razor to my head and chopped off all my hair. That's how I found his face last week. It had been growing underneath the whole time, waiting, smiling at me. He tells me that he tells me that he loves me, that he'll never need me, that he will never leave me. I wear a hat every day now, wide-brimmed ones in summer, beanies in the winter, whatever will cover that face. I don't look in mirrors anymore. When I do, I keep my eyes on myself and try not to turn. I know he's this. I know he's still there, always watching the room over my shoulder, watching me. Late at night, his voice gets clearer. He asks if I am still mad at him. He says it doesn't matter anymore, that we are past all that. I never answer. I just try to sleep it off and wait until morning. I tell myself that if I ignore him long enough, maybe he will finally shut up.